Pyramid building in the Old Kingdom. So we're going to go and look at what archaeology has to say versus what I have to say. Hence the title Archeology versus LizzieKaren. The pyramids of the Old Kingdom, especially the Great Pyramid of Giza, are universally admired. Archaeologists believe they can account for how, why, and when they were built, but their explanations differ strongly from the dreams that I've had of that period, so I thought I'd do a comparison. Admittedly, not all Egyptologists agree with how they were built, but universally they agree with when they were built, and they mostly agree with why. I say mostly because there is one particular very famous and well-respected archaeologist who does not believe the Great Pyramid was the tomb of Khufu, and is, as we speak, searching an area on Giza that he believes to be the location of Khufu's tomb. That said, most archaeologists will tell you that the pyramids are tombs. Let's look at the pyramids from the perspective of the archaeologists. The story begins with the pre-dynastic tombs and mastabas of the First Dynasty. Egyptologists claim there is a clear trend in building projects before the sudden appearance of the pyramid. The skills of architects, stonemasons, etc. had already developed to the level that they could use pounding stones to cut out massive blocks of stone, transport them, shape them to fit so they fitted tightly, so tightly that even paper could not fit in the joints. But until the appearance of the architect Imhotep, the mastabas and tombs were mostly mud brick, with a limited amount of cut stone for the important internal bits. But Imhotep apparently decided that the whole thing could be made of stone, or at least most of it. Archaeologists explain that each pyramid is slightly different, and they explain this as an evolutionary process, and it also reflects the resources at the time, i.e., a pyramid may not be so grand for a specific pharaoh if that pharaoh were not rich enough. Also, some of these great structures were considered to be experiments, failed experiments, and hence not used. The first real pyramid is considered to be the Third Dynasty King Djoser's step pyramid, and that is all apparently thanks to Imhotep. The step pyramid was built entirely of stone and is likened to 6 mastabas of various sizes placed on top of each other. The step pyramid, wider structure, has 11 shafts and many passageways, some of which became tombs sunk into the bedrock. So, although no bodies have been found inside a pyramid that links to the time frame of when they were apparently built, there are plenty of tombs in the surrounding area. Djoser was succeeded by other pyramid-building pharaohs like Sekhemkhet, whose step pyramid was never completed, sadly. Other step pyramids were built by later pharaohs at Ziwayet el-Aryan, as well as small ones at Abydos, Edfu, and Elephantine. Possibly some representations are of the primordial hill of the Egyptian mythology. The next design in pyramid building arose in Meidum. It is thought that it was originally designed as a step pyramid, but was then filled in and smoothed over to look more like the pyramids we more easily recognize today. In the evolutionary explanation of archaeologists, it demonstrates the next design improvement, that being the corbelled ceiling, which not only looked good, but provided extra strength to any cavity to withstand the weight of the pyramid stone above it. It is believed that Sneferu built 2 more pyramids at Dashur, the Bent Pyramid and the Red Pyramid, and that's a pretty big job. Anyway, now we come to the greatest pyramids of all, which stand 480 feet high on the Giza Plateau, the highest one. This, you may have guessed, is the one called Khufu's Pyramid, or better known as the Great Pyramid. It is claimed that it is the first of the 3 Great Pyramids to be built on the Giza Plateau. It is an unusual development, as it has 3 burial chambers, and this concept is explained as a way to assure that the king had a chamber if they died fairly early on in the building process, or halfway through the building process, or actually survived to see the end of the building process, hence the 3 chambers. Khufu's pyramid had the usual temples and causeways, etc. The majority of the pyramid is built of limestone, quarried from the surrounding outcrop of stone on the plateau. The casing stones of high-quality limestone were transported long distance from Tora, and there are also large granite blocks as part of the king's chamber that came from Aswan. Egyptologists describe the process of building the Great Pyramid as starting with levelling the site. It is thought that some mechanism was put in place so that the area could be filled with water to act as like a spirit level. Archaeologists do seem to accept that alignment of the pyramids are 2 cardinal points, and that this was a true factor and not just a coincidence. How they did this, however, is theorized, and this is one of the theories, that using the stars Mizar and Kochab, they may have been able to work out a true north, and how they maintained the alignment from there may have been achieved by building a high structure providing the correct alignment with an artificial horizon aligning the stars, and this could be regularly used to align the ongoing work. By the way, 2 of these small satellite pyramids are misaligned. So how long do archaeologists say it took to build the Great Pyramid? The great philosopher and historian Herodotus says that it took 20 years, and archaeologists agree that it is roughly the right amount of time. How was it built? Well, one popular theory is that sledges were used to drag the blocks from the quarry, or if the blocks came from further away, they would be floated up the Nile to the pyramid and then sledged from the water to the pyramid site. They say that the theory of the sledges is corroborated by a tomb painting of Jehuti Hotep, in which a 60-ton statue is shown being moved by a team of men this way. But no one disputes that statues were moved around, and certainly no one disputes that they might have been moved this way. But I will get to that later. Assuming this is how they got the blocks to the site, however, how did they raise the block up to such a great height? The prevailing theory is that ramps were used. Now, I won't go into the detail, but there are many versions of the ramp theories. To understand the theory better, I suggest you go to this video, and I'll put a picture up so that you can see which one I think you should go and check out. It's not one of mine. So let's move on to the next pyramid on the timeline, which has been established. That timeline is definitely an archaeological timeline. We are still on the Giza Plateau, and it's for the next 2, as Khufu's son Khafre is attributed to the middle pyramid, and his son Menkaure to the 3rd one. The size differed, as did the internal structure, but the look remained the same. It was pretty much downhill from here onwards, with pyramids getting smaller and smaller. The pyramid of Unas at Saqqara gets interesting because the pyramid texts start to appear at this point. And at last there are some hieroglyphs to be seen in a pyramid. Here is the list of all the pyramids and the photos. So now that we've covered what the archaeologists have to say about the Egyptian pyramids, let's discuss my take. I believe, based on my dreams, that most of the pyramids were structures from a much earlier epoch, and not all of them were originally pyramids. The structures were in ruins when they were found. A pharaoh would select a structure that they could restore, beautify, and reuse in praise of their gods, with an added benefit that they might find something very special along the way that belonged to the ancients, or better still, it might have some magic. Or to us, it might be technology, or even medicine. But to the people finding it, the technology was magic to them, like rolls that could levitate stone, staffs that could part the waters or cause people to freeze in their steps, tools that could carve precise structures or cut out blocks, drill cores or cut precise shafts, etc. Statues that could enable the user to talk to the gods, creams that could cure ailments, and waters that could extend life, as well as giant boxes filled with the secrets of the ancients. And sadly, some technology was so old it was degrading and had become dangerous, but that didn't stop them searching for it. Myths abound of ancient technology, not just in Egypt, but all over the world. And for thousands of years, people have been desperate to find anything that they could from the earlier eras. The stories of the brother of Ramses the Great, who was Khayyam Waset, who I've spoken of before, is a prime example of researching and searching for technology and then restoring old sites and acting like an archaeologist. But of course, these stories are only myth. But are they? Why then is it that most of the precise artifacts and structures are the very oldest ones? Are all the precise artifacts from prehistory? Well, not necessarily, because there were a group of ancients who chose to live in the vicinity and act as a secret society who provided services to the pharaohs at that time in exchange for, let's say, payment. But payment that they wanted was not in wealth, but rather it was in exchange for the more dangerous items that the pharaohs had already discovered, or I should say the pharaoh's people had already discovered.
So this is the end of part 1, and you can expect another part fairly soon.